everyone, thanks for tuning into my channel, Huub Hildenbrand Guitar Academia. Today we have a kind of really advanced lesson because we deal with a lot of stuff like knowledge based and also microtone technique based. So this is quite a challenging project now, this lesson. It's about Turkish Maqam, so it's another lesson on Turkish Maqam, and we talked a lot about these different tetra and pentachords and these basic maqams like Ushak, Hüseyni, Rast, Charga, Kurdi, Busulik, Hüzzam, and now we will go into a complete different group of pentachords. That group is these are the four pentachords. It's like Ferahnâk, it's Hüzzam, it's Segâh, and Müstear. And these four, they are like in a way like very common. They're sharing very common features, but also they have one very big problem in common. And that is that their roots are actually not possible to play on the equal 12-tone temperament as we have on our guitar. So the challenge is to play the root always, in this case, lower. Yeah, in this case we will on Guitar Academia here we will have all these four tetra, and not tetra, actually there are no tetra chords of these what we discussing today. All these four pentachords we will put the root to G sharp, and we will actually have a lower G sharp, sorry. We put the root on G sharp and we have a lowered G sharp. Okay, so and by the way, we have also a PDF down in the description below, and you should definitely get that to really understand this lesson, because we will talk about a lot of stuff, and also there are some aspects, especially now in this introduction, which are maybe not talking about. I'm really assuming that you get this PDF, so you get the full picture, and I don't have to explain everything here in that lesson, and that's true for almost all the lessons here on Guitar Academia. Okay, so now why is it such a challenge? Or let me start a little bit earlier. You may say, why can't we just put the root like in a way like transpose these pentachords just by kind of a microtone, and then we just have the root and we can just play that Ferahnâk, Segâh, Hüzzam or Müstear from E, for example, and we just start there. I already I'm doing that also, so also you will find also to compare these different pentachords, you will find a sheet in the PDF where it's all starting from E, so from an equal temperament, 12-tone equal temperament note. But the thing is, these four pentachords, and that is actually true for all tetra and pentachords and for all maqams. In a way, they are all in a certain kind of a way embedded in the whole total of all maqams, all tetra and pentachords, in this total system or total like tonal material of these 24 notes which are in use. Yeah, we talked a lot about this Turkish tonal system, and I'm assuming that you really know these lessons, because this is really advanced stuff now, and you really have to know the basics. But they are all these lessons are all there. Yeah, when we talked about the Turkish classical music, about the tonal system, microtones, and so on. It's all explained in some lessons here on Guitar Academia. So you might check these playlists also. Okay, so what I want to say is that these four pentachords, which we will talk about today, they are really embedded in this whole, the whole of all the maqams, and there it's really like you can this whole of all maqams of the whole scale, you can really correlate to the 12-tone equal temperament. You can really see, okay, these tones, they are really connected to this 12-tone equal temperament. These notes, they are just maybe just a little bit of intonation, these discrepancies, differences, just a little tiny bit different. So we just say, okay, they are just, we can really express them with our 12-tone equal temperament. They're so close. So, and also like a lot of I mean almost all, just besides these four which we're talking about today, they are all based on like notes which we really can correlate on the guitar on a that the root is really like in our system, so to speak, in our 12-tone equal temperament. So it's in a way it's always kind of much more easy, because we have mostly we just deal with notes which we have on our instrument, on the guitar, maybe just slight differences, yeah, and we talked about that we also care about them in a way, that it's good to know them, and so at a certain time when we are longer on one note and so on, we can use it. But basically we can also ignore a lot of these little differences in intonation, and these notes and these are really our mostly our like skeleton of the scale, of the scales. It's really connected to our instrument. It's just that in between notes, mostly in between notes, they are kind of they have like these microtonal intonations, like the third or like a second degree. These are really like they are more open for intonation, and then we have really some special like Ushak or Husseini we also talked about. There you really need this lowered major second, yeah. But it's just it's not the root which is touched in a way. The root stays really together with our equal temperament, 12-tone equal temperament. So in a way it's easy. We just have like on the steps in between, you can say, we just add different colors by this microtonal techniques of bending and pushing and the strings. But now in that context, yeah, just stay in that context and think about that. So we have most of the notes, most of the frameworks and the framework tones. They're just also equal to our 12-tone temperament. But then you have sometimes these a little bit lowered tones. And for example, in Rust, when you see Rust, you have this a little bit lowered major third, yeah? Where you also in practical use, you also have a still lowered a little bit more major third, so you have a kind of a little variations about that. But you have this major third, and that really makes a difference between Rust and Charga. Charga, you don't have that. Yeah? You have an even slightly higher major third than we in our 12-tone equal temperament have. So now what happens actually with these four pentachords is that we also build a pentachord on this lowered tone. So what we are talking about today, these 4 pentachords, we can really always think them that their roots are actually the lowered major thirds of kind of rust. Yeah, so when I play rust, now this is my lowered third. Okay? Now you see, I mean, I have to do really a lot to get there. It's a lot of muscle work, it's a lot of power, and I need. And also, there's one another big problem here, which adds to that. 2 problems actually. One is because it's the root of this pentachords, the G sharp, the lower G sharp. The intonation should be perfect. Yeah, you will hear immediately when it's off in a way. There's a certain kind of a quality these 4 pentachords have, that once you resolve them at the end or at a certain spot, place, time in the music to the karar, to the root, this lowered root, this has a certain kind of a quality. And this quality is really also defined in a way by having the exact intonation. And the exact intonation to have this lower G sharp also means, in these cases of these 4 pentachords, you always have actually a quite high G sharp. So actually it's just 1 comma lower. Yeah, so you have this G sharp here, and when you go to this G sharp, then it's just it's not very much, but it's a little bit. It's a pity because it's a little bit too much, as we would like. I mean, of course, we can push the string, but then we only can do it here in that case, and also we have to also work very, very hard. Yeah. So I would really not think too much about this pushing technique in this case. But we'll talk a little bit more, so it's getting more clear why we will not use that now. So we have to work very hard. It's a high G sharp, so we really work even harder than normally we would do maybe in Rust. And also at the same time, our intonation has to be perfect. And there's another thing what we can't do. We can't have like a kind of a drone or like a pedal, like a G sharp sounding, because we don't have it. We don't have that open string, this lower G sharp, and also we can't play it on the guitar, on the frets. Of course, we can do all kinds of things. We can take a fretless guitar, of course, but we can also detune a string by 1 microtone, for example. Yeah, and I tried all that stuff, but the problem is that then we are completely locked. Yeah, then we can only play that, and sometimes we only have just just a very few notes which we can play on that string, and all the other notes we can't use that string anymore, and so we are actually really limited. And that's exactly the opposite what we want to do. Yeah, here on Guitar Academia we will take like standard tuning, maybe sometimes a drop D or something like that, and there we can play anything. Yeah, every chord, every scale, every whatever, jazz, European harmony stuff, and Indian raga, and anything, go in all kinds of different directions, and also use this maqam, these microtones, and these different maqam scales, tetrapentachords, just to add to that, to have more possibilities, to push the limits in a way. And that's really what's happening here. Yeah, because we limit ourselves in a way to that guitar, standard tuning, standard fretting, and now we deal with real issues. Yeah, here in this case. So now, what we the good thing. And there are some more informations. I have also this PDF here in front of me. Just check it also. Yeah? Just read this PDF. And also it supports this channel, of course. So it would be a great thing if you do that, if you download that. And yeah, thanks. So read it, and because I'm just now thinking, oh, I have to talk about that and that and that. No, I just go on, and I'm assuming that you have this PDF and that you read it to really get this full package here. The good news here is that these Ferahnâk, Segâh, Müstear, and Hüzzam, they are so much related to this rust. Yeah, rust in a way like a minor third. No, I'm sorry. A major third, a little smaller major third lower, that we also can use this E as a kind of a pedal and a kind of how do you say, like that in a way we embed these four pentachords in that E major, E rust field, a better word, context. I mean, we are in E major, we are in E rust, and we are in E major, we are in E rust, and just branch out in that kind of a context by showing like these kind of different colors. And it's something what is also done. Yeah, I'm not like changing the tradition like by 180 degrees. It's like it's something what is frequently done when you have Segâh or Müstear or Hüzzam, also Ferahnâk. That you actually also sometimes include the root of the rust, and you see this very good on these two pages where we compared these different pentachords, and there are like two pages. One is the comparison of all these pentachords starting with this lowered G sharp, so we have it in the context of rust. Also you see rust, we start with E, then we go to F sharp, and then to G sharp, and then the pentachord starts. And the other page is where we just put all these pentachords starting with E. Yeah, so it's like E Segâh, E Ferahnâk, and so on. So you also see how the microtones change, and you also see what's also good to see, what you can see very good easily is how then you actually have to change a lot of notes to because then mostly like more notes are off of our 12-tone equal temperament. So we talked about this already here in this lesson. So it's another pro, you can say, by just thinking E rust and dealing with this lowered G sharp as our root. So what I wanted to say is that really it's really done. Yeah, it's really done. We have G sharp Segâh, for example, and that's really typical that we show also like G as a kind of a comping, as like a low drone kind of a thing, and this works really really nice. Yeah, I mean E rust and G sharp Segâh and G sharp all the other three pentachords, they are really related. They are really together, embedded. I mean, you can say Segâh, Ferahnâk, Hüzzam, and Müstear, they're really embedded in this E rust thing, field or context. But of course, it's done, yeah, to play this E as a pedal in these pentachords, but it's like added deliberately, so it's not always there. And normally you really enjoy really showing this G sharp, this lower G sharp as a root, and also double that in the low octave as a kind of a comping, like a drone or like a reference, or like really you make sure this is your root, and you show in the bass at the same time you play it in the melody, so you have both these lowered G sharps, and that's almost, I mean, it's possible in a way, but it's like, I mean, almost not impossible. It's almost impossible that you lower these two G sharps, but just only one microtone. Yeah, so you have to go lower and then bend both strings quite high, almost a half step, and then have this exact intonation, and also these both notes, there should be really like a perfect octave, otherwise it sounds out of tune. And this is like, we don't want to go into that. This is like maybe you can say this is more circus, you know, maybe you can show it in a circus. Would be nice actually to have a circus for these. Actually, that's a good idea. There are so many also on the internet. Sometimes I really have this feeling of that's circus. That's a cartoon in a way. That's like doing something very difficult, and it's very hard and impressive in a way. But other than for circus, you think, why? I mean, anyway, okay. Good idea. I mean, I respect everybody who works hard on this thing, and he's or she is deeply involved and get something out what's maybe never been played before or whatever. Okay. Anyway, so again, because it's used, this E pedal thing, it's used only like deliberately, and mostly you really like to show like G sharp, this lower G sharp as your root. We actually, in a way, we alter the whole thing. We alter the basis of these for pentachords and of these for maqams. We alter that, and by that we have to we really are compromising here, because since we alter that, the whole maqam context is kind of altered. So I think that it really doesn't make so much sense to get really deep into these maqams like Segâh, Hüzzam, Ferahnâk, and Müstear. Yeah, so. And with deep, I mean like really show like everything what they do, you know, what kind of tetra and pentachords they show, and how they change the intonation here and there to go there and to go there, and then finally to resolve to the tonic, to the root, to this lower G sharp. I think it really makes not really so much sense, because we are not really like this whole thing is not really so much resting on this lower G sharp. In a way, we are resting on E. So in a way, so we go a little bit off this pure quality, and I had another word which I really liked. Yeah, the strength and the depth and purity of these individual 4 maqams, there we will definitely lose something. So we will in a way use them how they are used also in Turkish Maqam music, but we in a way we exclusively use them in that context. So we exclusively sing Segâh, Müstear, Ferahnâk, and Hüzzam. These 4 pentachords, we sing them as kind of extensions, changes in color, or like going to the 3rd degree of this major scale to the lowered major third, to really sing them only in that context. Just in a way like just extensions, changes of colors in the context of the E rust, the E major with the lowered third. All right, I will just briefly show you these. No, actually we will go there directly. Yes, that's what we will do. So this was a kind of introduction, so you know what the whole thing in a way a little bit is about. We are in E major, and our root of these different pentachords and maqams we will talk about now. The root will always be this lowered G sharp. And that's just one other thing I have to add here. Although we are thinking like extensions of the E major tonality, of the E rust thing, and there our G sharp is our third, we try to approach and play this G sharp as if it would be our root. Yeah, so in a way we try to always go into these more pure, strong, original, traditional sounds of these maqams, but having our low E as a kind of a reference in a way. But we try to always go, when we go to G sharp, then we should always in a way tag that as that's our root, that's our final destination. There all resolves. Yeah, that's something we always have to create. Yeah, we have to create that, and we have to and another thing, because we also talked about this perfect intonation, when we have G sharp, the lower G sharp as a root of Segâh, or like any root of any root of any tetra or pentachord, of course, is very important that we have like a perfect intonation of that. They don't accept any impurities in pitch, in like wrong intonations. And that's now the good thing here with our conception to sing all these 4 pentachords in as a third of rust. We can actually we are little bit more loose with the intonation. Of course, we should show this this G sharp more in this higher, just 1 comma lower version. In comparison to rust, where it can be even more lower. To really have this strict right root of these 4 pentachords, which we will talk about now. But at the same time, because we have this context of E rust, our ear also accepts like discrepancies of pitch, so we can actually be a little bit lower and this kind of a thing. So it's okay, and sometimes we also can use this. Yeah, sometimes we also can do that with purpose to think. Okay, we we have this G sharp and that's the root of Segâh, but we played a little lower. For example, if we then want to go to E rust, because that's happening, that can happen with all of these four pentachords, that we once in a while to extend the scale below this root here, yeah, to really go low with that. Okay, you got this idea? So I really had a version of G sharp, which was very low and it sounded really nice, I hope. Okay, so we talked about the basic field we are dealing with now. We talk about E rust and we talk about G sharp being the actual root of these upcoming four pentachords, yeah, and the intonation should be always, we try to have a very high lowered G sharp, yeah, just a little bit lower than the 12 tone equal temperament, but we can a little play with that, and our ear, as I said, also accepts and sometimes even wants a lower version when we do show also different kind of things there. So so I think that's a way how we can really approach these four pentachords. Yeah, I could just start now the whole lesson again, explain the whole thing again to you, but I think that's not necessary. I think if you didn't get it, you really didn't get it, you might get it a little later, or you watch the video again. But of course, if you have really some things now which you really didn't understand, then it's probably due to that you did not have the basis for that yet. And this basis you also get here at Guitar Academia. Just check out the other videos on the Turkish tonal system and check out the playlists to find that. All right, so we will now go on with Segâh. I was actually busy with Segâh quite a lot. I also composed a piece which never got released on a CD, but we really had this in our program when we had this Huub Hildenbrand trio, where we also had Nuri Kardemili, this oud master, as a special guest, and he also played on the CD Heimat, which was released 2007. Yeah, and during the time, this following year, we really had some concerts, and I had this fretless guitar there, and there's also on my other channel where it's more about my music and stuff. I put the link down in the description to that video. There's this video which is actually quite old now, but you hear me there improvising and playing on this guitar, on this fretless guitar. It's like a framework guitar, and it's where I put out the frets. And this really happened. This all happened while I was studying Turkish classical music with Nuri Kardemili here at the Conservatory for Turkish Music in Berlin. And so I was really into that, and so this piece which you hear there, this kind of an improvisation on that video there. This is also Segâh. It's D Segâh, where I tuned my E down to D, and then I played like actually D major but F sharp Segâh, the lowered F sharp, and I think that's quite a nice. I still like that improvisation. Of course, it's a long time ago, and I would do things different now. But yeah, but why am I saying that? This is like it's a lot of fun, and it's also not hard, you know, to play like these maqams and pentachords which we are talking now on a fretless instrument. Yeah, but when it comes to guitar, it's really so difficult, and it's really hard, and it's really hard to make this happen, you know. And now let's talk about Segâh. Segâh has really like there are more challenges actually, which you can kind of also a little bit go around, but to really show Segâh, you have to work hard on the fretted guitar. One thing you have quite often with, or like it's a very typical movement in Segâh, Hüzzam, and Müstear, and that is approaching this G sharp, this lowered G sharp, with its upper and lower neighbor, which are like both kind of half steps, and also this augmented second from E. I show you these phrases, and they are also I also wrote them out on this PDF, so you can just also take a look at that to be sure that you do it right. So we have, for example, we have that. What you can do, and another, let's take another phrase. Or I found out maybe it's different with your guitar. That's maybe possible also. I have a plain G string. The thing is, I could just do that also by doing. Oops, sorry. The problem, yeah, so I play the G sharp here, the lower G sharp, and then I have my G, my leading tone, my jeden, as an open string, and then I can go back. But the problem is that the sounds of these two strings and these two notes are really so much different that it really doesn't sound good. So I could not come up with a way around that problem to really have to. And the challenge really is, and that's why I'm also working so hard, is that it's not sounding like that you bend the string. It should be really like. It should be really like separate notes. I mean, what you can do is release the whole thing. Yeah, release the G sharp to get lower, and like this. Especially later on when you maybe want to go back to rust. Yeah, we also talked about that just some minutes ago. So what you can do, for example, is but then it should be really high again and really. Okay, so that's already a lot of lot of work. So it's also something you cannot do like all the time. It's really like it's really like a color you choose at a certain time, and then you go on with something else. To always play that and show this bit lower G sharp, this would really tire your hand, and it will be like also not good for your technique. Yeah, it's all like it's really challenging. We are really working here at I think really at the limits of this instrument. But of course, these are nice colors. It's a nice color. So we can just from time to time can just play that and yeah. Maybe I give you an example. I mean, because I think like Guitar Academia, it's also about like that you hear how we connect this stuff. I mean, to really have a strict lesson on like Segâh, you better go to a Turkish classical musician who can explain that to you. There are actually a lot of videos, but most of them are of course in Turkish language. So it's maybe a bit tricky for most of you to understand that. Okay, let me just give you a little example. I see what comes out here. Okay, kind of. It's a lot of work, and I don't know where that leads me. Maybe, I mean, with some things I already found like interesting ways, and we also talked about this in these different episodes, and when we talked about how to play microtones, there are some techniques which I really developed, which are not which actually make also the guitar work for you, but it's a search. It's like always like pushing the borders, and sometimes you find things and think, oh wow, I can do it like that. And that's really also we also talked about these accepting the limitations of the guitar. I think there's a whole lesson I put out, and it's really this thing. It's very hard. It's very difficult. Don't expect that you can just play these quick lines like a normal. Like a Turkish classical musician would be able to and would do on his or her instrument. Yeah, the instruments are different. They are suited for that music. So this is not an instrument which you use in Turkish classical music. So in that area, this is a very limited instrument. You can say it's very limited. But if you stick to that and you accept the limitations, then also you have more fun and you enjoy. And you will maybe come up with some different thing. Yeah. So, I mean, if I would really want to play this Turkish classical music like perfect, like really great, I mean, would be of course great to do. But actually, I stick to this instrument because I know this and I want to stay with that and I want to push the borders here. Of course, I would be happy to really play like tambour, for example, like really great tambour player, and also you can also bow that. This would be really cool. But yeah, if you really want to play like Turkish classical music, like perfectly with everything, ornament and speed and everything, of course, you have to have another instrument. That's not possible on that instrument. So I would have to change. I would play another instrument then. Okay, that's clear. I think that's really clear, and especially it's getting very clear when you try out that for yourself when you're really busy with these microtones. Yeah, I wish you good luck. especially, of course, with what we are talking here in this lesson. This was like really advanced stuff. Another problem or another difficulty really with Segâh is that there are two more notes which are the same kind of lowered intonation. So when we go up the scale, we have a lowered major 6 and a lowered major 7. And to play that, to go from B and then it's kind of possible in a way, but chances are very, very, very great, very big that you will not really get it exactly right. And when you don't get it exactly right, it's a little bit the question why doing it, because when you really get it not right, then it sounds wrong. So better not use that in a way. And the thing is how I use it, because we have two, as you see in this on these pages, and really download that, that you see there are like two versions. Now we have to talk about that actually, like the pentachord of Segâh, of Müstear, and of Ferahnâk has two versions. One is called tam beshli. Tam beshli means perfect fifths, and the other is called ekshik beshli. That means like diminished fifths. And of course, we are not thinking from E, we're thinking from G sharp. And the tam beshli would go like that. That was wrong already. Again. Yeah, that's to go to the D sharp. If I played without microtones, it's much easier to show and demonstrate. And you see it also, maybe I should do that. So G sharp. So we can also say, if we don't do this microtonal stuff, we can say Segâh is actually a kind of a Phrygian thing. Yeah, Phrygian thing with a raised second and third degree. Yeah. Yeah, that we can think like that. But let's discuss this beshli again. This tam and ekshik. So we have tam beshli, perfect fifths. And we have ekshik, diminished fifths. And this D sharp or D, that is really also really strong, and this happens, as I said, it's in Ferahnâk and in Müstear. It's really strong, very much connected, embedded, so to speak, in this E rust thing. Because when we talked about the Maqam, E rust, we talked about that is the construction is like an E rust pentachord, and then a B, so from the fifth, and a B rust tetrachord. And that is sort of our part. Like if we play E rust, just played from G sharp. That's our Segâh, of course, with a little different intonation. I know. But now, when we instead of D sharp, we play this D. It's also something we do in E rust, because in E rust we show this E pentachord, and then on the B we show rust tetrachord and buselik tetrachord. And this is also called, the normal rust is this. And showing buselik on B, that is also called achemli rust. it's like I explained that explain this all in the Rust Maqam lesson. So check it out if you don't get that. It's really progressing. You should really check out what comes before here in like Turkish classical music and tonal system and maqams and so on, because that's really like we are really building there on top of all that. So so we have these two versions, but of course in Segâh we have also these little different intonations, but this is actually only different with the C sharp, because the other intonations, the G sharp a little bit lower, then A straight, B straight, now C sharp, there happens something, but then the D sharp also lower, and then going to E also. Yeah, also in Segâh we go up to E, and above, of course, if we want to extend that. These notes are all the same in E Rust, and also the D is the same in D Rust. When we mostly go more, when we decide to go more like descending in the maqam. Say here. So we do like yeah, and when we go Segâh, then sorry. That's really. So I have to. In Segâh, the thing in Segâh, my C sharp is a little lower than in the 12th tone equal temperament, but of course also in Rust we have our C sharp is just a C sharp. It's just straight to the in a way, or like very very close to the 12th tone equal temperament. So we have to also lower that when we are in Segâh. That's a typical thing in Segâh. When we compare that later with Ferahnâk, that's the only difference. I mean, in the penta chord, like comparison. Also this tam and ekshik beshli you have there, and it's just the same, but that note is different. But of course, in the music, when you really play like Ferahnâk Maqam or Segâh Maqam, they do different things. They go to different places. But just the basic pentachord, there's just this one note difference. So we talk now a lot about Segâh, and I will call it a day after we talked about Segâh, and then the next lesson will be on the three remaining pentachords. Ferahnâk. First we take let's take Ferahnâk, then we take Müstear, and then we talk about Hüzzam, and then I think we need 2 lessons for that. I don't want to put everything now in one lesson. That's a lot of stuff actually. The interesting thing, we also talked about that. I think when we talked about Rust, when we about that maqam, that the C sharp, the lowered C sharp, also has a kind of. I mean, there are different things we can actually we have to talk about that. But one very interesting thing is this lowered C sharp. When we consider that it should be actually a little bit lower, then it's really like Segâh is really connected to the like just tuning of the major scale, to the just tuning. So tuning according to the harmonic series. Yeah, that is something what was done in the like also in the Baroque time. There were like different kinds of tunings, a lot of like temperaments, but there was this kind of a just tuning where you had like all like major triads on the first, fourth, and fifth degree of the scale, and these major triads, as we have today in the major scale, but they were all tuned to the pure intervals. So pure major third, which is much lower than our equal temperament, 12th and equal temperament major third, and a pure perfect fifth, which is just a little bit 2 cents higher than our system. So we all had these during the time also in Europe, we had that kind of a tuning, yeah. So, and that's exactly what Segâh also gives us, yeah. If we would sing chords, if we have Segâh as a kind of like our guitar, like there are some guitarists they're doing this a lot, like having like different frets, like for every note a different fret, like little frets you can also move, so to adjust to a certain kind of a temperament, to a certain kind of a tuning. And so when you would tune your whole guitar to G sharp Segâh, yeah, maybe to this Tam Segâh, to the version with D sharp also, then you could play like beautiful, perfect, like pure major chords on the first, fourth, and fifth degree, which will sound much nicer, much more beautiful than our system if we just would play it on the guitar or on the piano or wherever. So that's a very interesting thing. That's also something you can also remember Segâh a little bit better maybe. Just think of, you just have a major scale, but you lower the major thirds of the three main functions, tonic, subdominant, and dominant. So in E major, the G sharp, the C sharp, and the D sharp will be lowered because they are the major thirds of these three chords. And then you take the G sharp as your root, and then you have Segâh. Yeah, and then from time to time you use D, 12 tone equal temperament D instead of D sharp, and then you have the whole, like both versions, like Ekşik and Tam Beşli, yeah, diminished fifth and the augmented fifths, pentachord, not augmented, sorry, getting a little bit confused here. The diminished fifth pentachord and the perfect fifth pentachord. And you see all that stuff also on the PDF. You see it in notation, of course, with these extra accidentals, but we also talked about that. There's also a lesson on that. So everything is there. Just go and practice and study that stuff. It's really, I think it's really worth it. It's really, there are so many like beautiful colors and sounds in these intonation differences. And the Turkish classical music is really like this system of 53, that's dividing the octave into 53 equal parts. It's so musical. It's really like the most musical division, I think, which exists. And it's also this. But we talked about that. Just go back to this lesson to really study where we talked about the tonal system. We really went into depth with that stuff. Okay, I will just play a little bit for you, just to end this lesson, and play a little bit using also, of course, Segâh. And there's this one line which I also played already, but very often we use this D sharp to go up, and then we sort of embellish that to go to the D, yeah, or to, and then this D, and that's the interesting thing with the Segâh actually in a way. It's really interesting. It's very clear when you hear that. The D brings us back to the tonic, to the G sharp. The D actually just goes scale-wise. Then maybe. Yeah, so. So also we have on A, we have rust. And we have on B, we have ushak, which is very nice. All right, I hope there were some nice things happening. I think. I hope. All right. Leave your comments, please, if you really didn't get something, if you're really confused, you have really problems to understand a certain thing, but make sure to, of course, go back to the other lessons. Maybe it's just explained there. I really know kind of what I already put out here on this channel. So I do not wanna put you in the dark. Yeah, it's really I'm just building on that. But maybe I forgot something. Maybe my explanation was a little bit confusing. So please let me know and put your comment down in the comment field below. All right, I hope this was interesting for you. I would be really happy if you take that approach here, if you join me here on this journey to these microtones of the Turkish classical music, and I would really like to hear from you if you're really studying that, and also it's of course possible to also take a Skype lesson if you like. This is also maybe you don't know that, so I'm telling you, it's also when you really want to go into that and want to get more in this advanced stuff, then I would be really happy to help you on that way. yeah, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So and also click the bell button to get notifications if a new video will be released, which is the case every week. And next week comes video part 2 of that video, where we talk about Ferahnâk, Müstear, and Hüzzam. And then we have that kind of group, these really advanced group of pentachords here, at least for us as guitarists. And you can also donate. Just go down in the description below. There's a link to my website, huphildenbrand.com, the Guitar Academia page there. There's a button where you can donate. So this would be really great. This would make me really happy if you want to support this channel and value the stuff you get here. So so I would be really happy, and I would really enjoy also. I'm really enjoying anyway to also share this stuff. But of course, like to get the support would be really amazing. All right, so yeah, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. My name is